manager for the HOV lane project, which includes a sound wall, is on the line, as well as a representative from Flatiron Construction, Robert, whose last name I don't have in front of me. So I'll just turn it over to Jim Rogers.
Hey, thanks, Deborah. Hi, my name's Jim Rogers, and I'm the project manager for Caltrans. And we've met a couple of times with the neighborhood association. So hopefully you guys know a little bit about the project. It's getting started now. We've done the tree clearing along the sound wall area between Stockton and 65th. And we've shifted traffic out on the freeway in that same area to accommodate the sound walls and get ready to work on the retaining walls to widen the freeway to add the carpool lane out there. We also have getting ready to start work down on the WX portion of the project. And that should be getting going here in the next few weeks. And we had some emails exchanged with the neighborhood association that had some questions. I know people were asking about the tree cutting, getting some feedback. We had to cut the trees down during the winter time when the birds aren't nesting. So that's why the trees had to be cut first. We've had a couple of delays with starting construction on the sound wall because of utility work that had to take place, just a few other coordination issues. So Jim?
You might be able to fix your audio. Go to the microphone button on the bottom left side of your screen. Under select speaker and select microphone, select something different and then go back to the default one that you had. I think it resets it.
The trees have to be removed during the non-nesting season, so that had to be done during the winter. We're getting ready to start very soon on the sound walls. So I know we're a little bit later than we thought we were going to start, partially because of the weather, partially because we've had some utility issues. There was an AT&T pole that was in the state right away that is not, AT&T didn't have permission to be in the state right away anyway. So some of those things had to be sorted out before we can get going on the construction. So anyway, with that, I'll turn it over to Robert if he has something he needs to add on the schedule for the sound wall construction.
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Robert Farouge. Good to see you all again. Yeah, we've been all working pretty diligently and hard. I know the design team's been hard at work to get to this point. And we were impacted a bit by the weather and a bit by those utility and other coordination issues that Jim was discussing. But we are at a point now where construction is going to be moving forward soon. I believe we're on our calendars looking at 2 weeks from today, around the 22nd, to be starting with our excavation of some of the footings to prepare the way. What we've done out there to date is the tree clearing. We also set the K-rail on the mainline shoulders, and we need that access area for the sound wall construction for certain areas that are harder to reach, that are, say, behind some of your homes or adjacent to some of your homes where we don't have street access from your neighborhood. And so we're using that work area down below to be hoisting, for instance, some of our reinforcing steel up to the sound wall in some of those areas. And we may also be using that area to have a concrete pump to pump concrete up the slope behind the homes and the more difficult places to reach. So that's part of why that K-rail had to be out there in order for us to move forward. We've kind of, in construction lingo, we've pioneered a road and access back through along the length of the sound wall. So we've been over the past few months doing our utility investigation. Well, we do utility investigation during design. Once we get to this point, we do a positive location of all the utilities before we as the contractor can then excavate. So that process has been what's been happening before and after the trees were cleared, and confirming all of our grades and getting ready to go. So our reinforcing steel is in fabrication. It'll be delivered in 2 weeks. And with the weather, the way that it has been, we've been wanting to wait until we have a good clear stretch of dry weather to excavate so that we don't have our excavations slumping in with mud. So in a few weeks, expect to see us out there. We are starting at Soundwall 15, which the streets always give me. I believe that's 51st to out on T Street and along T Street.
Yeah, 51st to 59th is Soundwall 15.
Yeah, and so the place that we start there, and the place that we're targeting first is the area specifically behind the residences as the first place, and that's mostly because it's the most difficult area to reach, and so we work our way out from there. And we'll be working both from T Street and from the other direction on the west. And first we'll be installing the foundation. There's some spread footing and some CIDH, some short CIDH cast in drilled hole, that is, foundations that get installed. And from there, it should be a pretty quick process. It's about the excavations and the foundations will be done in July. And that's with Soundwall 15, the excavations will be done in March, and the foundations will be poured in April. And then the block wall will start hopefully in May. We've received a notification from the block manufacturer, because we've ordered the blocks, that they are experiencing some delays due to their supply chain that may or maybe, they don't allege, but suspect may be related to COVID supply chain issues. And so we're waiting to hear whether or not we can still receive those blocks in May, but that would be when we would start installing them. And after Soundwall 15, our excavation crew will go from one wall to the next. So after 15, we'll go to 16, and then 14 and 13. And after that, 11 and 12.
Can you just say where those are?
Yeah, so 16 is kind of T Street to the east to the 65th off ramp. And then 14 and 13 are kind of all in the area between 40, I think it's 45th and 51st, so right in the middle there. And then we go back down to 11, which is the Stockton on-ramp. And we'll come up the on-ramp and up over 39th. And then 12 is the last one, which is just east of 39th.
Yes, yeah, 12 is about 42nd to 45th.
Yeah.
So
that's the order that we're planning right now, and it is due to how we can get in and access the site. So once we excavate, the footing and concrete crews will come behind that to make the foundations, and following the same order. So all of this is staggered. So at one point, we will be excavating some walls, pouring some other foundations, and then building block at other places all at the same time. That'll be kind of the situation in May, June, July. And so the blocks will be going up throughout the summer and the fall. And the current schedule, if we get the blocks when we hope to receive them, when we're scheduled to receive them, we're looking to have 15, 16, 14, and 13, and the first part of 11 done before the end of the summer. And then we'll be finishing up the last part of 11 and 12 in September and October. That's the outlook that we have right now for the construction and the order that we're looking at going in. So I hope that gives you a good idea of where we're going to be. And I know that some of you have, I mean, I'm sure pretty closely been watching our operations out there. I hope that we've been good neighbors to you all and are addressing any concerns that you have out there.
I see Adam has a question. Why don't we take that? Thank you, Robert. Go ahead, Adam.
Yeah. Hey, Robert, I appreciate you did a great job of explaining the schedule and very thorough. So thanks a lot for that. A couple of questions. So one of the things that sounds like there's some supply issues with the block right now. And I think the entire industry is experiencing that. If you guys do get some delay in the block, is it going to delay the excavation of the footings and the installation of all the concrete in the piles? Like, are you guys going to slow up just because the block's not coming in? I guess that's the bigger question.
No, we want to continue with our foundations and get those going as fast as possible. The potential delay, and they're not sure even if they have the delay, right, would be to change our block delivery from a late April, early May to maybe a June timeframe. So it's not that big of a push overall. But no, it would not cause us to stop any of the other progress that we're trying to make.
And I guess my next question would be, in order to try to, because you guys are trying to build and do a lot of this work during the non-rain months, which is nice. Is there any opportunities where you guys may want to double up on shifts? So like say 11 and 12, those are opportunities where you're going to start last. Would you guys ever look at the opportunity of coming from both ends of the wall and doubling up on crews to be completed a little quicker so you're out of the rain season?
I believe if we get pushed too far into October, all we'll be doing is at that point the masonry block installation, and it's relatively non-sensitive to the weather. So we'll be well out of our foundation part by then, but there will be opportunity for us to, there will be 2 crews installing masonry block on the project. And so there'll be opportunity to, when one crew finishes, if they finish ahead of the other, then jumping over and helping the other crew out finish. But as we get closer to that wall 11 area, there's a couple of steps that that we do need to work out just to maintain that we have access to the site. So there will be a couple of details we still need to work out in that area.
Great.
I see a couple of questions in the chat. Can you see those, Robert? There's one about informing neighbors adjacent to pending work projects as it progresses. And then will you be replanting foliage after the wall is completed? And then there's a question about your hours of construction. Can you see those questions in the chat?
Yeah, I can now. Thanks for letting me know.
Yeah, I can take the first couple there. Yes, the informing the neighbors, we do have the project website, fix50.com. Keep getting an echo. It's the fix50.com is up and running now, and then it also has links to the project has a Twitter page and a Facebook page. And the Twitter and Facebook pages are being updated a little bit more often than the website. So the website's still kind of a work in progress. So those are available for notification.
Well, how is Angela communicating? I believe she's giving some notifications too, right?
Yeah, you can also, I believe, sign up on the website. Our public information office is sending out direct emails.
You've got that echo again, Jim, so I don't know if Robert, you need to mute or how that's, but it's hard to hear.
Actually, this is Angela. I'm actually on the phone call. Just to let you guys know, yes, Jim is correct. The Fix50 page is still in progress. We have some information. We have a project map that is available, and the Twitter is linked, but we're having some issues with the website right now. So it is still being worked through. There aren't really any updates besides what we're telling you regarding the tree and the debris removal. Once we get actual starting construction on the sound wall, we'll have more photos and pictures for you to see. But right now it's just tree and debris removal. So it's not a lot of great photos, but you can sign up for alerts. And those alerts will be starting once construction begins to give you updates. And you can sign up by going to the sign up for alerts at the fix50.com page. It's like a little exclamation mark and it says sign up for alerts. If you hit that page, you can enter your email address and that is active, and just hit submit and you will receive the updates that we will be submitting, or we will be, sending out. So just a heads up on what's going on. But really the best source right now is Twitter, just because we can give up the latest traffic alerts using that. And for example, if there's an incident that happens near the construction site, we generally put that up in that section for Twitter. It's not usually the benders, it's more the big incidents. So just a heads up. And a lot of people were asking at one point about the upside down cones that are located along US 50 or under US 50.
You know what, I'm just going to interrupt you for a second, sorry, because there are other questions in the chat and I'd like to get to those. So there's a question about the foliage, there's a question about the hours of construction, and there was another question. So I'm sorry about, because that was in the paper today, but just want to make sure the questions in the chat get answered. So Robert, do you want to go back to those?
Yeah, as far as foliage, there is a landscape design that's being worked on, and it does replace trees, bushes, shrubs, and even some ivy in certain portions. I haven't looked at that design in a little bit, but yes, that's in the works. And as far as all the retaining walls built at the same time, I think I addressed that. There's an order to them, but then they are staggered start, and there is a point when most of the wall is, or all the walls are being constructed at the same time.
There's a question about hours of construction also.
Work hours, yeah, I believe. I asked my construction manager this morning about that, and we kind of follow the daylight hours. You know, as it gets toward the summer, there'll be some earlier starts, but I believe 7 is the start time that we have planned for this as we start up here. And as far as 10 p.m. for that work, we don't have, there might be some place where we have to get to it, a certain place with a lane closure that, well, now that we have the K-rail there, it won't be the issue. So we don't plan on having any night work for the sound wall construction. So we would be starting at 7.
Okay, there's a question about the existing, it's at 720, if you want to look on there, the existing masonry wall at 51st. Do you see that question?
Yes,
Yeah, go ahead.
there's an existing masonry wall at 51st Street. Jim, you want to remind me?
Yeah, I think we're still evaluating that. That's where the new TCE's being explored. So
Got it.
right now we're not positive if we're going to stop the sound wall before that existing wall or keep it going. It's being evaluated right now.
Okay, thank you. Well, we have just a couple more minutes here, so I just want to encourage anybody else who has a question to either raise their hand or put it in the chat. So any other questions? And did you put in the email where people can get updates other than Twitter? I think there was also a place people could sign up where you're actually sending out updates. Is that true?
I did mention that, but then you kind of cut me off regarding that. It's on the website.
Okay, it's on the Fix 50 website.
Yeah, where it says sign in.
Okay, can you just put that in the chat?
I'll try.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Okay, anybody else on this item? Any other questions anybody has? Adam or Deborah, Rick, anybody, Kat? Anything else for?
Yeah, I kind of beat this one down to the wall already, but just noise and vibration control. What is the plan from Flatiron to protect noise and vibration as the construction of this wall is going up, especially with the CIDH piles?
Yeah, I mean, are you looking at a specific noise or vibration concern? Because those, I guess the type of equipment that we use is industry standard equipment that you'd see on even the residential street, like if they were doing a rework of the streets in the neighborhoods. And as far as vibration control, when we get our specifications and our design prepared, our engineers or the engineer will bring up any specific vibration concerns, and none of those were identified during construction. Like for instance, if we're very close to a foundation or very close to a utility line, and so those have all been. In other words, no special requirement has been put into the special provisions for the contract. So the engineer looked like he was fine with all that. As far as, I think there was a question in an email earlier about the dust control, and we basically have a zero dust requirement. So you'll see us, if it does dry up, in the summertime, you'll see us with a water truck or water buffalo watering down any dirt as we're excavating and loading into trucks so that we're not having any fugitive dust on the project. And then noise, yeah, what we do in general is we take readings throughout our construction period to make sure that, for various reasons, in particular because we have OSHA, Cal OSHA regulated safety decibel levels for our workers, but also it applies to anyone else around in the vicinity of the work. And so we take those readings and make sure that we are within our allowable operating decibel levels, 86. And then there's other thresholds as you get certain distances away from the construction zone. Take those readings on averages over 15-minute intervals throughout the day. So we do check in on that. But the equipment that we're using is standard excavators and drill rigs. They do have the engine noise. And then trucks.
Yeah, but it can't be any louder than the freeway right now. So I just want to comment. You guys are doing a great job as far as cleanliness and what you guys have been doing so far. So thank you very much.
Okay, yeah, I hope that, I'm glad to hear that. I know the crews have been have been speaking about being very conscientious around your homes and around your spaces there. And so I'm glad to hear that that we're being good neighbors.
And we appreciate that. I'm going to do one last question and then we're going to have to move on. But there was a question about how will you measure the sound before and after the wall and inform us? And I'm assuming through the Fix 50 you'd inform us, but is that part of the plan here?
Oh, wait, are you referring to our construction noise or are you referring to
How would you measure the sound? You know, the sound wall, the intention is to
the
mute
effectiveness of the sound wall itself?
before and after, yeah.
I'll have to talk to our sound folks because I don't know if there's a plan to measure it afterwards to see how much it reduced. So I know there's a projection in the environmental document on how much they expect it to be reduced, but
Yeah, that might be helpful. See if hopefully this was all worth it. Well, I want to thank all you guys for coming. And if people have any remaining questions, put them in the chat, or you can also, looks like there's a number of other details here, and Manuel is saving the chat, so we will have that. So thank you again, Robert, Jim, and the second Jim there. Can't see a name now, but and anybody else, we really appreciate your coming. We're going to move on to the next item.